One of mankind's greatest achievements is to collect water where it is and deliver it to where it's needed, even in the middle of a desert. Clean, fresh, cool, healthy water delivered directly to our home where it's available at just the turn of a tap until it isn't. And then you've got a problem. Hello YouTube, I'm Gordon and you're watching Northwest Prepared, where I'm preparing for the worst natural disaster that's going to strike the continental United States. And in doing so, I'm making these videos in the hope that you too will also be prepared. Obviously, today we're talking about water. Now, when I made the list of 6 things to do, I put water as number 1 for a very good reason. When the water stops flowing, it's the first thing you're going to miss. You can stay warm and dry for quite some time without shelter. You've probably got several days, if not a week's worth of food stored away in your house, in your pantry, so you're not going to go hungry immediately. But water, not so much. You're going to get thirsty within an hour, and you're going to miss that on-demand water. Well, we basically need water for 3 purposes. Number 1, we need a source of clean, fresh water for drinking, for cooking, and for basic hygiene. You know, brushing your teeth, washing your hands, that kind of thing. Number 2, we use water an awful lot to flush our toilets. That's not going to stop during an emergency. Number 3, if you have a garden or you have livestock, you're going to need to keep watering that, as your garden is going to be a very valuable source of nutritious food. Let's start with the first item. The general recommendation is to have 1 gallon of water for every person in your household for each day that you expect the emergency to last. And also be sure to include some for your pets. They need water too. Okay, so how many days? Well, FEMA used to recommend having 3 days worth of water, but they've now extended that out to about 2 weeks. For a family of 4, that can be 48 gallons of water. As you can imagine, acquiring, storing, and managing all that water can be quite the task. So let me break it down into 3 levels for you. Each level is an attainable goal, and each level builds on the previous level. Start with level 1. I call this the resiliency level. Before you deal with an earthquake, you're going to deal with boil water notices, contaminated municipal water systems, breakdowns at the municipal water plant, or you may just forget to pay your water bill and discover your water service has been cut off. Now, most of these situations only last a day or 3. So having 3 days worth of water on hand is about all you need, and that's enough to keep you from having to join the rush of the unwashed masses lining up at Costco or wherever, hoping to get into the store and buy some water before they run out. So this is your resiliency level. The easiest way to achieve this is to just go out to the grocery store and buy 6 to 12 1-gallon jugs of drinking water. Store the jugs in a cool, dark space, and don't forget to rotate them once a year. Dump the water out. Don't just dump it down the drain. Use it in your garden. Use it for something. But in any case, you need to rotate that water at least once a year. The water can last longer, but don't push your luck. Let's have a quick word about containers. The reason I suggest buying the water in 1-gallon jugs is because you get the jug. And most of these water jugs, not all of them, but most of them are sturdy enough that you can refill them 3, 4, 5 times before they wear out. Now, I know what you're thinking. So, wait a minute, jugs? I'll just use my 1-gallon milk jugs. I buy a lot of those. I'm going to use those. Don't do it. Don't use 2-liter soda bottles, and don't use juice bottles either. okay? The reason is you can't clean them out, okay? You can't clean them out well enough. There's going to be minute amount of milk proteins and sugars left in the bottles, and those are going to allow bacteria to grow, bacteria that will make you sick. So don't reuse containers that used to contain milk, juice, soda, etc. Beyond the 1 gallon jugs, once you start collecting enough water, you're suddenly going to have 2 dozen 1 gallon jugs, and those are going to be a pain to deal with, especially when it comes time to rotate the water. So at some point, you're going to want to get like a 5 gallon camping jug. Another thing I found that works well for me, kitty litter is sold in jugs. You can buy kitty litter in jugs. So if you have a cat, or if you know someone who has a cat, have them buy the plain, unscented, non-clumping style kitty litter in the jugs and have them pass the jugs to you. Kitty litter is pretty innocuous stuff. It's just clay. You can rinse that out of the jugs fairly well, and even if you drink some of it, it's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you a bit. Now, there are other things that are being sold. Once you start looking up water storage, you're going to discover the water brick system and various other water tainers and things. These are fine. They work as well. They're larger capacity, usually 10 or 15 gallons apiece, something that 1 or 2 people can handle if necessary. You can go out and buy a 50-gallon barrel at a farm and ranch store, okay? But they tend to cost, $50. But you can store 50 gallons of water in one big container. The downside to that, of course, is once it's full, it better be where you want it, because you're not going to move a full 55-gallon drum of water. So moving on, level 2. Level 2 is your contingency level. With level 1, you're just trying to use your primary source of water and store some of it so you can stretch it out if something goes wrong and try to just jump over gaps in supply. With a contingency level, you're trying to go longer. You're trying to be prepared for more extreme situations. You're looking at, for instance, trying to get over a total breakdown of the water supply system that lasts for several days, maybe going on to a week. So your first step on your contingency level is to build up your freshwater supply to 2 weeks. And like I said, for a family of 4, that can be 48 gallons of water. But at some point, your stored water is going to start running out and you need to refill it. So you need a contingent source of water. This can be a family, a friend, a business, a place that you can go that is not on the same water system as you. Maybe somebody with a private well. They're more likely to have water if the municipal system goes down. But someplace that you can go with your jugs, refill them, and bring them back home. Now, just point out that, when these kind of situations happen, FEMA or the National Guard usually shows up and they're handing out water. You don't want to join that mess, believe me. Now, your third step in your contingency level, because you're dealing with a more complete breakdown of the water system, your third step is to get a rain barrel. And the rain barrel is not for drinking water. The rain barrel is for flushing your toilet. Okay, it's something you can draw a bucket of water out of, take it into the house, dump a bucket down the toilet to flush it. A real simple way to do that is for $20. You can go down to Home Depot and buy a watertight trash can that you can put under your downspout. So at this point, you should have, once you've reached your full contingency level, you should know where you can go to get a contingent source of water. You should have 2 weeks worth of water stored up, and you should have a rain barrel, which will help you bucket flush your toilets. So at this point, you're ready to go on to level 3. Level 3 is what we've been working up to. This is it. At this level, you're ready to survive the aftermath of the Cascadia Subduction Zone Earthquake. You need to prepare to have the water system down for at least 3 months, and in some places the water can be out for over a year. Obviously, store as much fresh drinking water as possible. But you can't store your way out of this situation. You will be depending somewhat on FEMA, but don't let that be your primary source of water. So at this point, you're storing up as much drinkable water as you can. Go beyond the basic 2 weeks. Save up a month's worth of water if you can. Secondly, your contingent source of water may not be available, so you're looking at making your own water. That means expanding your rain barrel system. Instead of having 1 barrel, get 3 or 4 rain barrels. Add downspout diverters to all your downspouts so you can put 5-gallon buckets under the downspouts during a heavy rain shower so you can collect all the water you can. Then you need to make sure you have Clorox, unscented Clorox, and a water filter like a Berkey, a Sawyer, or a Life Straw. The idea is to filter and clean the rainwater so that you can drink it. And you may want to go ahead and boil it too. Now, if your water table is high enough, you may want to drill or drive a well that you can pump by hand. And the other thing is, don't depend on local lakes, rivers, or creeks, or ponds for water. That water will very likely become contaminated. So that's the basic plan for drinking water, and there is one thing I haven't mentioned, and that is your water heater. Your water heater, it could be a good source of water if it has not drawn in any contaminants. During a boil water notice, your water heater is useless for drinking water. If it's just a breakdown of the water system and the water that came into the water heater is still good, you've potentially got 40 to 50 gallons of water. If you've ever had to empty a water heater, you know that valve at the bottom of the water heater is not intended to be open and closed frequently. So you're definitely going to want to have a 5-gallon or bigger jug, because once you open that valve, you want to draw as much water off of it as possible. Also, have a short length of hose that you can attach to that valve. That valve has got hose threads on it. Make use of them. The hose is something you can put right where you want it, and you're not going to spill valuable water as you try to drain it off your water heater. So there you have it. That's your basic plan for a 3-step plan to prepare yourself to not go thirsty and flush your toilets. The aftermath of the Cascadia Subduction Zone Earthquake. And not just earthquakes, other emergencies as well. Have you been through a water emergency? In my years, I've been through a few. If you really want to know, I'll put them in the comments. If you've been through a water emergency, tell me about it in the comments. Like to hear about it. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. Helps with the algorithm. Also, if you know somebody, everybody who lives in the Pacific Northwest needs to know this. Share this, okay? Share the video with your friends and family so they too can be ready. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hit the notification bell if you want to get notified of future videos. And as always, be ready.